Greetings, family. This is Oh, this is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. Um, trying to see if I can rig something really quick. I don't know. Maybe this will work. I was trying to see if I could rig something so I could do IG2. I do not know because my phone is almost dead. Anyway, greetings. This is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Today is 12/23/2023, and I am in between clients, so I decided, greetings, Carlotta, Asia, how y'all doing? I decided that between clients today that I was going to go ahead and do a live, and let's see if this little rig situation I'm trying to set up will work. I'm going to do some reading today, but I also am going to do a preface. The other night when I tried to read, I was exhausted. I was wiped. I couldn't do it. You feel me? That works. Let me tell you about what we call ghetto ingenuity. Okay. Yes. Awesome. Okay. So awesome. I'm doing great. I'm doing awesome. Okay. So I wanted to preface today, again, for those that are just tuning in, I'm Cassandra Floyd, also known as Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I am going to do this live as concisely as I can because I'm on call, if you will, for clients today. So if something comes up, I might have to end suddenly to go get some money. You feel me? So anyway, I have been promising for some time that I was going to take enough time to write a list of thank yous to people who, over the last few months, about since maybe the end of September, beginning of October, people have made contributions, have offered donations to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and I did not want to let any other time go by before shouting them out. And that's purposeful because the year is almost ending, and I did not want the year to close without them knowing. Even though I've talked to them personally or hit them up personally, thanking them, I wanted to shout them out for their contributions. So I'm going to go through this list really quick. And then there are some things that I want to tell you. I'm going to try to narrow, you feel me? And maybe I'll do a more in-depth something later, but I want to narrow because I don't want too much time to pass for these things that have happened over the last week that I was telling you about. Okay, so first, thank you for those of you who have been supporting my page, whether you've only been supporting for a week or whether you have been supporting for the 4 years that I've been doing these lives. I want to tell you that it is so greatly appreciated. It is so greatly necessary. And if you have me tell it, it is purposeful and timely whenever you joined, because this world that exists as it does right now is moving rapidly. And I believe, greetings, freelancer G. Kalsar. I hope I didn't butcher that. And greetings, Ugbear, Roz Ray 242. Greetings, everyone. I am of the position that every single interaction, every single person that we meet, if we take the time, just a moment to take a deep breath and ask ourselves the question, what am I supposed to be learning in this moment? What am I supposed to be receiving in this moment? Is it a lesson? Is it a blessing? Is it a path? Is it a way forward? Is it something that I need to be remembering, recalling? We need to recognize, especially now, especially as we are moving into this new year, this most game-changing new year. Greetings, T. This most game-changing new year that is, baby, is going to set the stage. You understand? Every moment, every interaction, every person that we meet, whether online or whether in person, before reacting, ask the question, in this moment, what am I supposed to be learning? What am I supposed to be receiving? Why is this interaction purposeful? Why is this interaction necessary? Why is this interaction purposeful? Why is this interaction necessary? Because they all are. Every single interaction is purposeful. Every single interaction is necessary. Why? That's the question that we have to ask ourselves. This is what we have to glean from every situation, from every moment, and from every interaction. I'm saying that because I want you to know that when you support the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, one, I am grateful for that because it means that in some way you believe in the vision of what it is we're trying to create. Two, it lets me know that what I'm doing is not falling on deaf ears. You understand? Now, there's a billion and one people out in the world doing their thing on social media, on TikTok, on YouTube, and everybody has something to contribute. So it is not taken lightly when my little old self has something to say, and something to say that resonates with you to the extent that you would take your time and your money and support what it is that we're trying to build as the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So that's why I wanted to preface that way and say that to this list of names that I'm about to read out, these are people that have contributed over the last maybe 3 months. And I wanted to make sure that they knew that they were appreciated and that it is going towards the cause. Okay. Monami, who actually is a monthly supporter. So I want to shout Monami out and just express sincere gratitude for her support and her belief in the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Lolita M, Greg A, Tondi, Walter V, John Dale H, Mystically Soul, Solis, Kim M, Nkinge L, Mid Heaven, Asia K, Matikwa B, Leger, Janice B, Danielle P, Erica V, Samara O, Codeine, Carlotta, CM, Sarah K, Nakia B, Nanette B, Jermaine W, Midnight Society, Catherine H, Yabish K, Annie M, Faye M, Reverend Brianna L, Naia M, Paola P, Letitia M, Billy G, and Sonia Estelle. If I've missed anyone, please do not hesitate to let me know. You can reach out to me on releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. If you have any questions of any kind, if you have any feedback, if there's anything that you need from me, if you need a reading, or if you need to receive a wellness consultation, whatever, if you have a question, please do not hesitate. Email me at releaseheartcenter@gmail.com. Now, hard turn, because again, I got a lot to tell you, but I'm keeping my ear. I even have my phone on, which I never have on. I have my phone on in case I get booked. So last week was the new moon. Okay. It was the last new moon of this year. 1, 2, we had in that same week, we had the solstice, the winter solstice. Okay. Yesterday, which was 12/22/2023, for those of you who don't know, let me just tell you, this is going to be a regular event on the calendar produced by the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Okay. December 22nd, from here until forever, we are going to, I wanted to do something this year, but I just really didn't have the kind of time and fortitude, whatever. But mark my words and mark your calendar. December 22nd of every year is Global Orgasm Day. Okay. August 8th which is the 8/8 portal, August 8th is National Orgasm Day. These will be two very important dates on the calendar of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So yesterday was Global Orgasm Day. And so a lot was happening this week. I see y'all got the little laugh emojis, but just real talk out here. You feel me? Okay. So let me just tell you, there were some events that happened. So Sunday was the eve of the new moon. Okay. Let me tell you what happened. What had happened. Okay. The previous week, I'm not going to overshare, but I will say that you guys know I've been telling you frequently. I have been deliberately celibate for a little over a year and a half now. August 8th of 2022, right? Yeah, that's a year and a half. August 8th of 2022 was the last time that I engaged in sexual intercourse. Okay. It was very deliberate. It was very purposeful. And if you want to know the story, go back into my videos because I talk about it. But last week, leading up to the new moon, so I'm not perceived vulgar. I will say, and I say this often, is not anything that I hesitate about. I self-pleasure regularly, right? In the absence of sexual, intimate contact with another human being, I take care of my immediate needs myself. You feel me? Typically, I will watch erotica to do that, right? But that is because I am treating, or have been treating, and it's no biggie, have been treating my self-pleasure, as a way to relieve stress, you feel me? Or even just to tap in, right? But usually when I do that, it's quick, you feel me? And that's why I watch erotica. I watch erotica when I want to be quick. Typically, it's that, right? But this past week, the week leading up to the last new moon of the year, I didn't think anything about it, but I was like, I was feeling really in need of touch. And so I didn't want it to be quick. I didn't want and when my climax is quick, it's great, but it's not as intense as when I take time, right? I think that's for everybody, right? And so it's a much deeper, more intense climax orgasm that I have when I take my time. So all week, last week, leading up to that new moon, it wasn't like deliberate. It was just like I was feeling different. I was feeling different in my body. I was feeling that I needed more. And the other thing that I was feeling was, I remember saying it in my head that I hope I don't get tempted right now, because if I get tempted right now, I'm gonna sell out. You understand? Now, this is me talking to myself. I remember vividly last week saying, I can't get tempted. You feel me? Because if I get tempted, I'm gonna sell out. I'm gonna sell out. I'm gonna sell out. You feel me? And so thinking about just like the need, and how deep it had gotten, I was like, that's what the energy was like, I was like, damn, I need somebody to rub my booty. You feel me? Like, I need touch. And in the absence of that, because I am deliberately celibate, in the absence of that, I said, okay, this week, I'm not going to watch any erotica. I'm going to use my mind. And what I did to use my mind was what most people do when they use their mind. They think back on moments that they had really great sex, right? Really great encounters. And so that's what I did. I went back into my memory banks of all these wonderful, experiences that I had with lovers to self-pleasure last week. I did that all week. Okay. Now there are certain people that come up every time because they were that impactful, right? And so keep that in your mind as I proceed in the story. Okay. That's backdrop. So I've been working this app, right? And this app is a massage app, right? So it's just like Uber for massage. You, as a massage therapist, I can get, an offer to do a massage, and I can either take it or decline it, whatever, right? So Sunday, I had been working hard every day for like 7 days. I had not taken a day off. So come Sunday, I woke up. I knew it was the eve of the full moon. Sunday, Spirit said loud, "You're not going to work today. Take today off." I was like, I think I'm going to take today off. Homeboy calls me, a Mexican brother. He's like, "Yo, we're hosting a drumming circle at the community garden over in such and such." I was like, bet, I'm going to go to the drumming circle, right? I go to the drumming circle, crazy impactful. I thought it was just going to be like, some hippie type, everybody banging on the drum, them kind of drumming circle, like everybody just getting off and cool, no shade. I was like, all right, I'm going to be here for 1 hour and then I'm going to go on down to Lamert Park. I went to the drumming circle. I was there for much longer. It was really, really good, but I was disobedient. As soon as I got in the car from the drumming circle, I was like, you know what? I need to go get these coins. It's Sunday. It's a busy day. Sunday is always a busy day. I was like, let me go get this money. So I went to the app to set my app to take clients because I'd blocked it off. As soon as I turned my app on, 4 clients came through back to back to back. I was like, yes, let's go get this money, right? Baby, the whole day was a spanking of catastrophic proportion. Okay. I get the first client. I get one literally 2 seconds after it, right? And so I'm checking the addresses, I take off to go to the first client, blowing the road up because it's Sunday traffic and the client is in Malibu, which is an hour and 10-minute drive for me. So I'm already like, oh, I got to drive an hour and 10 minutes to go do this massage, whatever. I drive there. It's dusk. So I'm like, oh, this is lovely. Yes, okay, it's an hour, but I get to see the sunset over Malibu and I'm driving up in the mountains. Yes, this nice drive to do this massage. I am driving up this very, 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 very steep mountain. A half a mile from the man's house. My car decides it does not want to go anymore. A half a mile. I said, oh no. And it's dark. And I'm on this windy mountain road. So people are bending the curve and seeing me and swerving out the way. I've got my hazards on, but now it's dark. I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to do? I was like, okay, I'm not going to freak. I'm not going to trip. I'm not going to trip. I called the dude. I was like, yo, you won't believe this. My car broke down. He was like, I hope it works out for you. Let me know. We won't cancel the appointment. If you can make it within 2 hours, cool. Right? I was like, all right, bet. I leave the car off for 30 minutes. This might not even be the read. I leave the car off for 30 minutes. I was like, maybe if it cools down, because the engine was still running, it just would not accelerate anymore. It just would not go. Engine still running. It just would not go. It was not overheating, no smoke. It just would not accelerate up this mountain. The mountain was like this. I was driving like this. Okay. Turn the car off. Leave it off for 30 minutes, turn the car on, and just like the little train that could, some of y'all might be too young to know about the little train that could. She's slowly putting up this man. I was like, if I can make it this half mile to this dude's house, park the car, I'm working on his wife for 90 minutes. You feel me? It was a 90-minute massage. Work on his wife for 90 minutes. That'll keep my car. Plenty of time to cool down. Then I can just roll down the mountain. You feel me? Baby, I get to the man's house. He is like, who are you? I was like, I'm your therapist. He's like, I canceled my appointment. I said, no, you didn't. He said, yes, I did. And so I couldn't get any service. So I was like, I'm sorry to ask, but let me get your Wi-Fi so I can check the app and see what the hell is going on. How about I was at the wrong address? Way wrong. Way, way wrong. I'm thinking I'm going to the first client's house. I have put in the address, trying to quick check my schedule, put the second client's address in my GPS, drove an hour and a half. Meanwhile, the 5 o'clock appointment, my first appointment that I was on the phone with, thinking I'm half a mile down from his house, I'm an hour and 10 minutes out the way from his house because his ass lived 15 minutes down the road from my apartment. I done drove now 2 hours and 20 minutes out the way because I put in the wrong address. So I was like, I ain't tripping. I called the dude. I was like, look, let me tell you what happened. My car, I told you my car messed up. I went to the wrong address. I'm on my way. I'll be there in an hour. He was like, all right, cool. We'll wait for you. So I was like, all right. I already knew as soon as my car stopped, I already knew it was the spanking. Spirit said, don't take your ass to work. Take the motherfucking day off. I was like, I need this money. I didn't take the day off and my car stopped a half a mile from the wrong house, an hour and 10 minutes away. Right. So I was like, cool. So I'm laughing at this point, driving down the mountain in Malibu, which is an extraordinary drive. I was like, but you know what? It's cool because I needed this mountain and ocean air today. Thank you, Goddess. I know I'm a hard-headed ass child sometimes. Thank you anyway for the blessing, because I wouldn't have came out my way to go to Malibu to sit by the ocean and look down on the mountain. So thank you for this lovely, lovely blessing to be able to see the sunset today, because I wouldn't have otherwise. Thank you for allowing me to see this beautiful, had all my windows down so I could just take in all this beautiful, clean ocean air. And got my ass on the road to drive another hour, hour and 10, hour and 15 minutes. I'm driving up. So this guy lives very close to me. He lives on Mulholland Drive. That's literally like 10, 15 minutes away. So I'm driving up Mulholland Drive. Y'all hear about Mulholland Drive in all the movies. Extraordinary view. So beautiful. All the famous lookout points and all makeout points in all the movies, they're on Mulholland Drive. Beautiful, beautiful view, especially at night when you can see the entire city in a 360-degree radius. Beautiful. So I was like, thank you, Goddess. What an extraordinary ride this is. And it was no traffic. So it's just a nice, easy ride to my next client. Get to my next client. That was extraordinary because, sorry for another day, but a wonderful woman with a wonderful podcast. Just so you know, I will share the podcast. It's called Naked Beauty Podcast. Shout her out. Tell her you heard about her podcast. Boom, on my thing. Because she was just great. I told her before I left, I love it when work does not feel like work. Work did not feel like work, right? Leave her house. Because now I still have a 10 o'clock appointment. I had to cancel my 7 o'clock appointment because I messed up the 2 appointments. So I wouldn't have had the time to get the 7 o'clock appointment because I had to use that time to do the 5 o'clock appointment that I messed up. I'm having deja vu so hard right now. Oh. So bad. So hard. Okay. Anyway, so I was like, all right, cool. I got to cancel the 7 o'clock, the 6 o'clock or whatever it was, canceled anyway. And then I had a 10 o'clock appointment. So I went and sat out on Lookout Canyon or whatever. You feel me? On Mulholland Drive after I left their house and looked out over the canyon for an hour, went down the mountain to get ready to go to my 10 o'clock appointment, which was almost to Malibu. Now, if I'd have messed up my schedule, I'd have already been in Malibu for my next appointment, right? Now, let me tell you what happened. This is the coup d'etat, okay? And why I had to tell you that previous story about my climax this last week. I get almost to the client's house, looking at the GPS. And I'm like, oh my God, I turned down this alley. I was like, and so this guy that used to be a lover of mine, temporary, we had sex maybe 4 times, but it was impactful, these 4 times that we had sex. And he lives, baby, he lives on an alley. Now he lives on the beach. So there are these alley condos. It's not a road, it's a straight up alley. These alley condos. I was like, oh my gosh, quick thought about this guy who I had sex with probably 3 years ago was the last time I had sex with this dude. Oh, nice memory. Keep it moving down to the client's apartment, which is literally 2 blocks away. Literally 2 blocks away. I still don't think nothing of it. Oh, guy's name in and out my head that quick, right? I call the client. I'm like, look, I'm downstairs. Now I'm in an alley on Venice Beach. Venice Beach is beautiful, but it's sketchy. There's a gang of disenfranchised homeless people. You know what I'm saying? It can be sketchy, especially for a female at 10 o'clock at night. So the client has me waiting in the alley. He's like, I'm gonna be a few minutes. And I get there early to set up because I have to have hands on at 10 o'clock. So I was like, all right, cool. So I'm standing in this alley with all my shit, all my massage stuff, standing right at the gate of this guy's house because I can't get in until he lets me in. And he has me waiting and waiting. And now I got an attitude because this is like the icing on the cake of a day that was already crazy. You feel me? I was like, it figures. So I'm like, I'm not going to have an attitude. The moon was beautiful over the ocean. Oh my God, it was so gorgeous. So I was like, you know what? Let me just take in the moon. Thank you, mother. I will not be hard-headed anymore. This was a loud ass spanking. She said, I got some more for you, boo. Hold on. Because I still need you to know that even if I'm spanking your ass, I have something for you. You need to see. Let me tell you what happened. I'm waiting in this alley for this guy to come and get me. My phone rings. It's 10 o'clock at night. The person whose home I just passed 2 months ago, two blocks prior, who I haven't had sex with or talked to in 3 years, called my motherfucking phone. I'm not lying. When I saw his name come up on my phone and answered the phone, he said, Cassandra, and my response was, what the fuck? What the fuck? So my reasoning mind, my logical mind says, okay, this guy runs a lot. You know, he does night swims a lot. You feel me? Because he lives on the beach. He does night swims. He does night runs. My logical thinking mind says default. Oh, he must have seen my car. My car stands out. He must have seen my car. Maybe I didn't see. I rode down the alley. Maybe I didn't see him and he saw me as he was off running or something. I said, did you see me? He's like, what are you talking about? I said, why are you calling me? He was like, I just woke up from a dream about you. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to go back to sleep. I'm going to call this woman. He said, I've been thinking about you all week, saying I was going to call, and I decided not to. I woke up. I said, I'm calling this woman before I go back to sleep. I said, I am tripping right now. I said, I'm tripping right now. He's like, what's up? What's the matter? I said, dude, I'm 2 blocks from your house. He was like, shut the fuck up. I said, I'm telling you, I am standing in an alley waiting for a massage client at 10 o'clock at night, 2 blocks from your house. He said, you are lying. I said, boy, do you need me to take a picture of your apartment right now? I said, I'm trying to tell you. He was like, yo, he said, I've been watching your videos for weeks, swearing I was going to call. And then this last week, now mind you, I just told y'all the story about me using my memory banks to fulfill my needs over the past week. And he's saying for the past week, I've been thinking about you every day, saying I was going to call and wasn't going to call. I passed this dude's apartment and he calls me. Now, guess what the punchline is? Because that would have been the temptation. That would have been the temptation. If he had said, look, why don't you slide through after you get done with your massage? I would not have even hesitated. I'd have been like, yep, I'm coming through. You understand? Baby. He says, let me tell you something even more crazy. I'm telling you that I woke up from a dream about you just now, and that's why I called. He said, Cassandra, I'm in Argentina. It was 3 o'clock in the morning where he was. He was calling me from Argentina. Yo. Listen. Now, I've been telling y'all for a couple of months now, really since these damn eclipses in October. I've been telling you, not only for myself, but for you to be paying attention that our abilities are going to be increasing something radical. Didn't I just tell y'all last week that what has been a whisper in the past is going to be a yell? Spirit said, I need you to know that even as I have to spank your ass for being disobedient, that baby, there's something you need to see. It's not your imagination that these things keep happening to you and they keep intensifying and they keep intensifying. They are clear. This month, I drove past this man's fucking apartment at 10 o'clock at night. Haven't even thought about this dude. And then when I drive down the alley, I'm like, oh, sweet memories. You understand? Just that quick. In and out my mind, just that quick. I park my car under this goddamn moon in front of this dude's house on the eve of this motherfucking new moon. Boo. That motherfucker called me at 10 o'clock at night after waking from a dream about me, and his ass is in fucking Argentina, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning where he at. And I told him, I said, yo, I said, this had to happen exactly how it happened. Because I had just said, if I get tempted this week, I'm giving in. If I let some smooth talking, slick tongue talking motherfucker slide by me in just the right way, I'm giving in. I'm giving up the booty. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. You understand? I said it out loud. I said, listen, don't get me off the square because, listen, I will be easy this week. I will be easy this week. And listen, as soon as I saw the phone ring, I told him, I said, listen, what do you want, man? He was like, well, I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about, we had a good time together. Our sexual chemistry is crazy. I said, I know. I know. Yo, I'd been thinking about this dude for that 1 week. But prior to that, hadn't even crossed my mind. But that 1 week when I was feeling tender, when I was feeling fresh, you feel me? Child, he was one of the three. He was one of the three bigs that I was like, yes, this is the memory that I need. You understand? And child, if he would have been he had to be in Argentina. Because I already told Spirit, listen, don't play with me this week. Because I'm telling you, I'll be off this high horse calling myself celibate. You understand? I will be off my high horse this week. Try me. And so Spirit was like, somebody say, yes, universe got a sense of humor. Sometimes that shit is not cute. That shit ain't funny, but it's butt naked. It's loud and clear. I recognized, you understand, that instant. That shit happened, y'all. that happened last Sunday, and it's had me fucked up every day since. So much has happened this week. I say that shit to y'all all the time, but I'm trying to tell y'all, when I walk out of the house, and it's me trying to get back to this place that I was when I first moved to California. When I first moved to California, every day was magic. I mean that. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. Every day was magic, and it was not subtle shit. I was like, yo, you cannot write this life. This shit is extraordinary. Every single solitary day, I adopted a philosophy that when I hit the floor, I expect magic. Because that's how it was. That's how it was, baby. You understand? And that has been, and it's, sometimes we get caught up. We get caught up in the noise of our lives. We get caught up in the busyness of trying to survive. And so we do not see the magic. We do not allow it to come in. We do not recognize it when it happens, even against our will. And so for the last 6 months or so, I've been trying to be much more deliberate to be back in that place where I expected magic every time my feet hit the ground. Every time my feet hit the ground, I was like, okay, what magic I'm going to see today? What miracle am I going to witness today? What freaking moment that is meaningful is going to cross my path today? And I'm telling y'all, I tell y'all every story. There ain't nothing I hide. There ain't nothing I keep secret, because we need to be able to see. I'm always telling you, I don't believe in that blind faith shit. I don't believe in blind faith. You understand? I'm a scientist before I am anything. I'm a Virgo with a Capricorn moon. Bitch, I want to know the why. All the time, I want to know the why. I need to see the evidence. The first time I prayed to Eshu, I told y'all that. The first time I prayed to Eshu, I was like, if you know me, then you know I don't need no signs or symbols or no shit I need to interpret. Make it plain, butt naked, loud and clear. And it's been that way ever since. Ever since. You understand? Ebbs and flows based on where I am here, but ever since. I do not subscribe to blind faith. Not when we have a mother that shows us all the time that she is real, that she is rooting for us, that she got our back all the time. Our mother is not malevolent, trick playing, game playing. You understand? You got to prove you love me. You got to prove you do this, do that, do this. That ain't her. That is not her. She is fed by our happiness. She is fed by our sense of wonder. She is fed by our sense of wonder. She is tickled when we see the magic in what she produces. Do you understand? She gives us evidence all the time. She doesn't ask us to blindly believe. She gives us evidence all the time. You understand? And so it's important for me to tell you these little stories. That might not seem as impactful to you as it did to me, but baby, that shit punched me in the gut on Sunday. I haven't had a single problem out of my car since. I ain't taking it nowhere. You understand? Was I gonna tailspin into chaos? Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I'm out here by myself. I was like, you know what? I recognized that instant. 0.5 miles from this dude's house. She was spanking my ass. I told you to stay your ass at home and relax today. But that's okay. I'm still gonna bless you. You hard-headed, but guess what? I'm still gonna bless you. You always want to do shit the hard way, but I'm still gonna bless you. Is that not true? Think about your life. Think about even the worst thing that happened to you, the most terrible thing that happened to you. Wasn't the blessing afterward so much better? She still blessed you. You and me hard, I'm still going to bless you. I'm still going to take care of you, boo. I got you. But I need you to listen. Don't make this shit any harder than it has to be. That's that Father God shit. Woe and burden and hard work and everything got to come hard. That's that father shit. That's that bullshit right there. That's that mythological Father God shit over there. That ain't what I taught you. I taught you that if you spit a seed on the ground, a tree gonna come up out of there with some fruit on it. I taught you that if your poop has undigested seeds and you take a dump somewhere, guess what? A tree is gonna come and feed somebody. That tree gonna feed somebody. Stop making shit hard. Stop making shit hard. Isn't it the relationship that we have with our mama? Defiant till the end. She stayed trying to make shit. Baby, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. I know you love them, but boo, come on, man. You ain't thinking right now. Just take a deep breath, assess. You feel, but I love him. Your mama always got your best interest at heart. Most of us she got our best interest. She always trying to make our life and our trek through life easier than it was for her. Baby, listen, I got some experience. You feel me? You don't want to do that. I got some experience. You might want to sidestep that shit. And what do? We want to learn the hard way because we ground. I'm ground. Honey, I had to eat crow many a day. I had to call my mom and be like, you know what? Remember that time, this and that, such and such? I just need you to know, even though it was a long time ago, I need you to know you was right. And I was dead wrong for defying you. Thank you for giving me enough, because my mama will never say I told you so. She will never say it. She will never say it. She always gives grace. She always gives grace. But it is important for me to tell you that you were right. It is important for you to know that I know that you were right. You understand? So anyway, that's the big thing that happened, because that was glaring. That was blazing. And then I maintained. I have been approached, but I was able to sidestep temptation this week. Okay. So I have remained celibate. You understand? Anyway. So what? It's like, what time is it? Oh, not so bad. I was talking 90 miles a minute. Okay. So we're 40 minutes in. I am, even though this is a long intro, and typically I don't like to do long intros before I read the book, because people who have never seen me be like, what the fuck is she talking about for 40 minutes? I thought she was going to read a book. But I am going to read a book. The book that I am going to be reading from and have been reading from for many weeks now, and am determined to finish by January 1st. You feel me? Is Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Let me tell you, if this is your first time joining us in the read, You might need to get some extra bobby pins to fix your wig down. You understand? Okay. You might need to get situated. Okay. Because yes, like most of my followers be saying, Mary be snatching wigs. Every time we read up in this book, we getting punched in the jaw, we getting kicked in the chest, we getting swift kicked in the ass, wigs is getting snatched, all the things. Mary got an attitude and she wanted to make sure that we knew about it, even long after she was gone. Okay? So for those of you who are just joining, for those of you who have been joining and you have the book, many of you have gotten the book as a consequence of the readings. If you T say yes, baby, edge is pulled. Come on. Okay, yeah, listen, that last reading that we did, not the short one, part 30, I have rewatched that read 4 times. I think we did it, what's today? Saturday? I think we did it Wednesday or Tuesday. I have watched that live 4 times since we read it. Yo, even once I went back, because I told you when I'm reading for myself, and then when I read aloud, and then when I listen to myself read, I always get something different. And that's how we learn. You feel me? Baby, that reading on Tuesday, baby. That reading on Tuesday. Baby, when she started talking, I ain't even gonna go into it, but that reading on Tuesday, y'all get ready for this book club. Because I told y'all the first week in January, the first Wednesday in January, we gonna pick back up on the book club for this book. And yeah, that's what we gonna do. So let's see here. All right. Okay, so for those of you who have the book and are following along, we are on page 328. We are okay, so I'm going to start back at the top of the page where it says in 1967, for those of you who are following along. Let me drink some water first. Okay. In 1967, Shafika Karagola, a physician specializing in neuropsychiatry, published a book entitled Breakthrough to Creativity, Your Higher Sense Perception. In it, she wrote, man is moving in consciousness out of a world of static solid forms into a world of dynamic energy patterns. This is his problem and his opportunity. As a pioneer of the 5 senses, he has experienced his world as solid, concrete, rigid. Today, he has entered a fluid, intangible world of vibrating, radiating energy. Life adapts to environment. Man plunged into this new environment, a universe that is nothing but frequency, must of necessity make new adaptations. He must achieve an ability to more directly experience a world of frequency. In order to do this, he must develop new senses or expand those senses which he already has. There is abundant evidence that many human beings are already expanding the usual 5 senses into supersensory levels. It is possible that there is already a mutation in consciousness taking place and that a few people are developing a new sense of frequency, end quote. Mind you, for those who have not been following along, this book was written in 1983, okay? Dr. Karagola, having departed from the acceptable methods of her field, worked with a number of persons gifted with what she calls higher sense perception. The women and men she interviewed did appear to have remarkable talents for telepathy, clairvoyance, precognition, the reading of auras, and other manifestations of higher sense perception. Her recording of these phenomena is fascinating, but from an agnostic point of view, her analysis is inadequate. Come on now, follow along. In the early part of Breakthrough to Creativity, the reader is given the impression that these phenomena represent a new stage of development, corresponding in some way to the breakthroughs, corresponding to the breakthroughs of modern science concerning, this is in quotations, concerning which the author appears to be uncritically optimistic. Okay? This thesis seems to be hard to sustain, however, and Cargula herself maintains that instances of higher sense perception have been reported from the very earliest of times. Moreover, she appears not to notice any significance in the fact that whereas nearly all of the historical recorded instances of higher sense perception, which she cites, are attributed to males, and most of the anonymous sensitives whom she actually met and interviewed and whose experiences she verified were, to judge from the pseudonym, women. A shrewd might suspect that Dr. Cargula's lack of feminist sense perception, okay, feminist sense perception, accounts for much of the confusion. There is a noticeable conflict between her intuition that higher sense perception development represents a new stage of evolution that is happening now, and her knowledge of the fact that higher sense perception experiences are not new at all. A shrewd analysis suggests that this conflict is a consequence of Cargula's inability to identify clearly the source and the direction of the new stage of psychic transformation, the mutation in consciousness. She has recognized that this will involve expansion of the usual five senses, but there is no indication that she sees patriarchal technology functioning as an impediment to such expansion. Yo, okay, are y'all following? Do I need to break that down a little bit? She is saying in this little section here that even though she might have been onto something in her identification of higher sense perception, her flaw is that she is still seeing this phenomena through a patriarchal, male-centered worldview, a pseudo-scientific worldview. And what we're calling pseudoscience is Western science. You understand? That even as she went back at the old or earliest indications or experiences of higher sense perception, she always went back to the males experiencing higher sense perception. Ooh, does that sound familiar? Huh? Does that sound familiar? Like Buddhists, levitating, or yogis levitating, or we always see these quote extraordinary feats and always want to only see and acknowledge them in males when they happen in males, with males. That's what she's saying right here. This woman's inability as a scientist, as a neuropsychiatrist, her inability, one, to recognize that this is not a new phenomenon, but this is a very, very, very old phenomenon. And two, that it is her patriarchally centered, male-centered perception of higher sense perception that has her confused about what it is she is witnessing. It says, listen, she has recognized that this will mutation in consciousness called higher sense perception will involve the expansion of the usual five senses, but there is no indication that she sees patriarchal technology functioning as an impediment to this expansion. As an impediment to this expansion. I'm going to continue. There is no evidence that she has perceived feminism as an expression or manifestation of higher sense perception. Oh, come on. Or that she has identified women who have meta-patriarchal consciousness as primary agents of breakthrough to creativity. An agnostic critic would point out that the mutation in consciousness that Cargula anticipates will be directly connected with the rise of feminism, which is meta-patriarchal intelligence. Another prophet of mutation in consciousness is Doris Lessing. In part 4 of The Four-Gated City, 1969, the reader experiences through Martha Quest a journey into other dimensions of consciousness. As she develops new powers of, let's see. In part 4 of The Four-Gated City, 1969, the reader experiences through Martha Quest a journey into other dimensions of consciousness as she develops new powers of knowing. Lessing's description of Martha's ordeal of confrontation with the inner voice of the self-hater can function as chilling illustrations of the power of the Sado Society's embeds to hold back the evolution of consciousness. Come on in the goddamn room. Huh? 1969. She says that Martha, Lessing's description of the character Martha, her ordeal of confrontation with the inner voice of the self-hater. What do we call it now? Imposter syndrome. What do we call it now? Any number of shit. But anyway, the self-hater can function as chilling illustrations of the power of the Sado Society's embeds to hold back the evolution of consciousness. Y'all ain't in the room. Y'all ain't here. Y'all ain't here. Okay. Martha recognizes that hers has been a narrow escape. She has survived the onslaughts of her self-hater because she is armed with some knowledge of the process. Without that knowledge, quote, a doctor or a psychiatrist would have needed only to use the language of the self-hater, and that would have been that. That would have been that. Finis, Martha. Bring out your machines. Bring out your drugs. Yes, yes, yes. You know best, doctor. I'll do that, you say. I'm too scared not to. Oh, end quote. Oh. What Martha succeeded in doing was facing down the embedded self-hater, self-punisher who keeps each victim dulled and unable to know the evidence of her own senses. In her notes concerning the self-hater, Martha observed, quote, if a dictator wishes to control a party or country, if a hierarchy of priests wish to control their flock, if any power seeker anywhere wants to create a manipulated group, she has to embody the self-hater. It is as easy as that, and it is very easy to do, end quote. Lessing does not offer an analysis of philocracy as embedding the self-hater, the devil, in the psyches of his victims. She is able to describe aptly the mechanisms of self-hate which sustain the gynocidal society without being able to name a gynocidal society. However, this does not completely invalidate her analysis of these mechanisms. Shrews can recognize in her descriptions clues concerning the embeds that block feminist movement into metamorphospheres. In the four-gated city, Martha and her friend Linda are prophets, forerunners of a more highly evolved species. Lessing gives hints of a future of superlative, highly evolved male and female humans who, after the nuclear holocaust, begin to be born in hidden places in the world. The reader is given the impression that these superior beings are the results of some mutation. As Martha states in a letter written during the post-Holocaust period, quote, one day all the human race will be like them, end quote. That is, quote, people like you and me are sort of an experimental model, and nature has had enough of us, end quote. The reader is left quite mystified, however. Aside from the very problematic notion that nuclear holocaust would be the catalyst necessary to trigger the mutation into higher forms, what other conditions could account for it? How does the human race move from its current defective state to the highly evolved condition of which Lessing briefly hints? As in the case of Cargola's theory, Lessing's vision fails to bring into focus not only the specificity of phallic oppression, but also these luminous explosions of female-identified creativity, which are movements into the metamorphospheres. In her depiction, In her description, hold on, sorry. In her description of Martha Quest's transformation, Lessing makes the point that the process itself contains the necessary clues for unfolding awareness. Quote, still, she had learned that one thing, that most important thing, which was that one simply had to go on, take one step after another. This process in itself held the keys, end quote. If this is true for Martha Quest, presumably it would be true for other participants in the history bearing group that she represents. But we are faced with the problem that it is unclear who might participate in such a group. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. But we are faced with the problem. We are faced with the problem that it is unclear who might participate in such a group. If we search Lessing's descriptions of Martha for clues, we observe that an ardent quest for self-knowledge is a fundamental quality. Martha sees well enough that this particular planet is inhabited thickly by defectively evolved animals, end quote. She does not move through this process of seeing the horror to joyous gynergetic spinning. We are told that nature decides to produce a new and better human race. Poor Martha, however, despite her heroic struggle, does not really participate in that race, and she does not race. It is noteworthy that Lessing introduces the final part of the Four-Gated City with epigraphs from male religious teachers, specifically from the Master Rumi of Balkh, born AD 1207, and from the Sufis, Idris Shah. Both of these sources' texts proclaim that man or humanity acquires new organs in the course of evolution in response to the needs for specific organs. The Sufi doctrine presented in Idris Shah states that, quote, the human being's organism is producing a new complex of organs in response to such a need, end quote. Within Lessing's interpretation, however, the new organs that presumably are possessed by the remarkable post-nuclear Holocaust children do not seem to be a consequence of Martha's quest, but rather byproducts of technological destruction. Listen. Listen. Within Lessing's interpretation, however, the new organs that presumably are possessed by the remarkable post-nuclear Holocaust children do not seem to be a consequence of Martha's quest, but rather byproducts of technological destruction. Oh. The reader can certainly appreciate the notion of the emergence of such a new species as nature's triumph over evil. Yet within Lessing's context, this thought has an unsatisfying incompleteness. The account has a hollow ring to a woman who experiences now in her own life the biophilic potential for metamorphosis. Moreover, Lessing's work, by implying that the evil of nuclear holocaust is necessary in the evolutionary scene of things, can function subliminally to legitimate this horror. Oh. You. Oh my God. This is something else we're going to have to get up into, y'all. By the early 70s, feminists were making leaps of understanding concerning metamorphosis. 1974 marked the publication of Barbara Starrett's classic feminist article, I Dream in Female, the Metaphors of Evolution. Starrett wrote, quote, now imagine a species that has so evolved that its members begin to feel like another species, are aware of their differentness, and have developed a consciousness about themselves that is not explainable in contemporary symbols, forms, mindsets, language, art, or culture. Women are now at this point, end Quote. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh, oh. Starr sees contemporary feminists as descendants of the witches who survived the burning time and as aware of this heritage. She continues, quote, and we feel it, we know it. We are beginning to see into the past and into the future, to heal and create again, to be aware of our own strange abilities to energize and communicate with each other in new ways. We are even becoming aware that we can consciously evolve, that our new organ is something which enables us to will our own further evolution. The more aware we become of our own evolutionary process, the more we are empowered to will and direct that process. And an incredible evolutionary leap, a macro mutation on a level with and having similar dynamics to the development of language itself. Woo! 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 Y'all, listen, waves of chills, child, waves of chills. Woo! This is 1974, she wrote that. The reader, who was a part of the feminist experience of the early 70s, may feel a certain nostalgia reading these words. The women recognized by Starr to be now at this point were and are, of course, the cognitive minority known as radical feminist. One decade later, we find ourselves confronted by an insidious backlash whose intent is to undermine the intellectual courage to live out the vision reflected in Starr's article. The Sado rulers employ the self-hater embedded in women to patronize and openly sneer at such vision, relying upon the usual stockpile of biggest lies, utilizing the usual devices of depreciation, particularization, universalization, and spiritualization to batter the minds of muses approaching metamorphospheres. They employ femboticized women to kill the hopes of other women who are in fact experiencing metamorphosis in the process of evolving metapatriarchal consciousness. Come, y'all better act like y'all in the room. Ah, listen. Oh. Listen. This article that she is quoting was written in 1974. And she says a decade later, as a backlash to the feminist movement, we are confronted with all the manner of weapons to beat back any progress that had been made on behalf, quote, of the race of women. Do you understand? She said what? She said they use women as weapons. What does she call them? Femboticized women, patriarchal women. What y'all call them now? Male-centered women. Here we are in real time in a repetition of what we are experiencing, and we calling it everything but what it is. The male patriarchal backlash to the inevitable evolution of women. Listen what she said. The Sado rulers employ everything. They employ the self-hater embedded in women to patronize openly other women who have the nerve to have a vision for the future. Relying upon stockpiles of biggest lies, utilizing such devices, blah, 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 blah. Fembot, they employ women to kill the hopes of other women who are in fact experiencing metamorphosis in the process of evolving metapatriarchal consciousness. In our metamorphosis, in our attempts to evolve, what is bound to happen? The evolution of everyone around us, baby, is inevitable. That's what they're afraid of. What does she say right here? She said, in the same time that we're experiencing metamorphosis, we are in the process of evolving metapatriarchal consciousness. We are talking about setting people's goddamn brains free from that which ails us all. Every male, every female, every gender between is caught up in the shit. She said, when we evolve as women, when we experience metamorphosis in real time, honey, evolution is inevitable for every motherfucking body. That's what she said. Now, that's my paraphrase, of the articulation of what she said. You understand? Entry into metamorphosis spheres then requires, what's she talking about again? It requires exorcism of the demons spawned by the big brothers and their frantic backlash against the rise of female power. Do y'all need me to read that sentence again? Entry into the metamorphosis spheres then requires exorcism of the demons spawned by the big brothers in their frantic backlash against the rise of female powers. Here we are in 2024. This was written in 1974. This statement that she's reading from, she's quoting here, was written in 1974. This book I'm reading, written in 1983. And here the fuck we are again. So I want you to keep this in your mind and keep this in perspective. When you watch these videos about from men in the so-called manosphere, when you watch these videos about, I want a woman who is submissive, I want a traditional woman, keep this statement right here in mind, because even if you are not clear, they are. For women to evolve, baby, when women evolve, men are going to have to evolve, and they don't want to. That's why Christian religions, Judaism, Abrahamic religions, all of them, what do? They deny evolution. Why? Because to acknowledge evolution is to acknowledge the need for evolution, the need to perpetually evolve, the need to perpetually emerge anew. And they can't maintain power and domination over motherfuckers that are constantly evolving, whose ideas are constantly changing, whose minds are constantly changing. And that's okay that their minds are constantly changing. Baby, when women evolve, and that's why the backlash. That's why the backlash from men. I want a woman who's submissive. And then your next thing is to go to some third world country and try to, quote, grab up a wife who allows herself to be a wife out of sheer desperation created by this system. Do you understand? Or you go to some place because you think, quote, the women ain't as smart, ain't as up on game, ain't as educated, so you can exploit them. Everything that you see happening right now today, and that's why I do not engage men. Baby, even men that call themselves my friend, I do not engage them. If you do not have anything uplifting, powerful, optimistic to say about what is happening and what it is we're trying to do as women in the world, I do not engage. Maybe you will get blocked with the quickness. I will not expose the people that listen to my shit, that follow me on any of my pages. I will not expose it. You'll get blocked before your comment can even be seen. You feel me? That ain't what we here for. Well, women do it too. Say that shit on my shit. Your ass is getting blocked. Women do it too. Well, there was this one time when. I do not want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Anyway, so she said, entry into metamorphosis spheres then requires exorcism of the demons spawned by the big brothers in their frantic backlash against the rise of female powers. The most effective form of exorcism is continuing the journey. Refusing to be distracted by the bad magic of manipulators and mutilators. Despite the attempts to mute the voices of musing women, more and more wantons and witches are aware of our potency to change. The active and explicit development of women's spiritual powers is a continuing focus on many furies. This theme is aptly expressed in the title of a recently published anthology entitled The Politics of Women's Spirituality, Essays on the Rise of Spiritual Power Within the Feminist Movement. Many feminists continue to express myriad of manifestations of creative female clairvoyance. Among these are writers and other artists as varied in their approaches as Merlin Stone, Z Budapest, Sally Gearhart, Maxine Hong Kingston, Adrienne Rich, Neil Morton, Gloria Anzaldua, Nicole Broussard, Janice Raymond, Carol Christ, Sweet Honey in the Rock, Willie Tyson, Naomi Little Bear, Robin Morgan, Charlene Spretnock, Starhawk, Emily Culpepper, Loki Bereznik, Judy Grahn, Monique Whitting, and Judy Chicago. All of these women dream in female. Muses recalling that dream is the form dream. The word, listen, muses recalling the word dream is from the Old English dream, meaning noise, joy, music. Remind women that female dreaming is noisy and joyous and musical. Woo! Also, we are not surprised to hear that dream is said to be etymologically related to the Latvian word dundudis, meaning gadfly or wasp, for metamorphosing women, sting, and provoke each other to change. Oh, shit. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. She said we sting and provoke each other to change. Listen, this shit gonna hurt, but it's only for the better. It's only to make you better. That's why Mary be in here snatching wigs. You understand? It's only to make you better. Wanton women also warn each other that the dream is derived from the Indo-European root durg or durga, meaning to deceive. We point out that the real danger of deception is from man-made daydreams and daddy dreams, his romances, his theories, his religions, his soap operas. Ooh, the danger is that we will be seduced into believing that everyday common sense and logic, the scripts of the plastic dream makers, are actual reality. The danger is that we will be held back by these male fantasies, kept from dreaming deeply enough and wildly enough. Butterflies, backlash, and erratic movement. Meandering into metamorphospheres, muses notice that our laborers are also butterflies. From this perspective, too, they are symbols of the great goddess. As a matter of casual interest, we might light upon a description of how butterflies appear to outside observers. H.M. Tomlinson describes an encounter of the all-male crew of a battleship with a tropical butterfly. Hold on just a second. Let me check and make sure ain't no money came. Okay. All right. Quote, a superb butterfly, too bright and quick to be anything but an escape from paradise, will stay its dancing flight as though with intelligent surprise at our presence, hover as if puzzled, and swoop to inspect us, alighting on some such incongruous piece of our furniture as a coil of rope or the cook's refuse pail, pulsing its wings there, plainly nothing to do with us. The prismatic image of joy. Out always rush some of our men at it, as though the sight of it maddened them, as would a revelation of accessible riches. It moves only at the last moment, abruptly and insolently. They are left to gape at it, mocking retreat. It goes in erratic flashes to the wall of trees and then soars over the parapet, hope at large, end quote. The sight of the butterfly is maddening to the men. Okay. The sight of the butterfly is maddening to the men. Even more maddening is her mocking retreat. The riches accessible to her are inaccessible to them. Characteristically, oh my God, oh my God. Listen, the riches accessible to her are inaccessible to them. Characteristically, she moves in erratic flashes. Erratic means having no fixed course, wandering. It means deviating from what is ordinary or standard, as in nature, behavior, or opinion, odd or eccentric. The erraticism of the butterfly, her wanderlust, her untidiness, her eccentricity, her eccentricity, excuse me, goodness, her eccentricity is essential to her being hope at large. The erratic being of butterflies is described by Elizabeth Gouge, who writes that they are yet not quite birds, as they were not quite flowers, mysterious and fascinating, as are all indeterminate creatures, end quote. Although tidy collectors are always trying, oh my God. Damn. Damn. Listen. Oh my God. Listen. Although tidy collectors are always trying to classify them, there is something about them that mocks classification. This, of course, is one reason why the collectors are obsessed with classifying them, pinning their corpses onto stiff boards and in glass cases. Indeed, butterflies represent that which is baffling to the necrophilic fixers, whose behavior in relation to these creatures is illuminating. Gertrude Stein relates a fascinating little description of this. Quote, one of such of these kind of them had a little boy, and this one. The little son wanted to make a collection of butterflies and beetles, and it was all exciting to him, and it was all arranged then. And then the father said to the son, you are certain this is not a cruel thing that you are wanting to be doing, killing things to make collections of them? And the son was very disturbed then, and they talked about it together, the two of them, and more they talked about it, and the more and more they talked about it, then at last the little boy was convinced it was a cruel thing, and he said he would not do it. And his father said to the little boy, and the father said the little boy was a noble boy to give up pleasure when it was a cruel one. The boy went to bed then, and then the father, when he got up in the early morning, saw a wonderfully beautiful moth in the room, and he caught him and killed him and pinned him, and he woke up his son then and showed it to him, and he said to him, see what a good father I am to have caught and killed this one. The boy was all mixed up inside him. And then he said he would go on with collecting, and that was all there was then of discussing. And this is a little description of something that happened once and is very interesting. This is from a book. End quote. Since butterflies represent biophilia at large, that which is beautiful, joyous, hopeful, and erratic, they seem to elicit the father's inherent tendency to expose themselves, as Gertrude Stein has illustrated in her little description of Snoolish self-contradiction. The autonomous, wild movement of erratic women also elicits the deceptive, destructive reflexes of the fraternal flashers, who perpetually preach against cruelty even as they perpetrate biocidal acts. Backlash then is to be expressed. It is boringly predictable. Damn. The responses of erratically flying women to the botcher's backlash, however, are unpredictable to them. There is, for example, the fact that we do not respond or react. We do not backlash. Come on. We do not backlash back at them. Come on. I keep telling y'all, I do not argue. I do not debate. I do not fight with y'all, men. I don't do it. I don't do it. Because the word that comes through all the time. What am I telling y'all all the time? This is the period. That if you are a male and you say that you want to see the world made well, you say you want to change the world, you say you want to see the world made well, you think you're so super progressive. How progressive are you? Are you progressive enough that if the voice of the one, of the she, who is she, mother, says to you, be still, be quiet, and comply, can you? Would you? If you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that the world would be made better, that the world would be restored, that the world would be made well, and all you need do for a spell is to be quiet, be still, and comply, would you? And this is the evidence of how with it you are for me. This is the evidence of how down you are for the future to me. This is the only way to prove that you are progressive as you think you are. If it came down to it, and all you had to do to ensure a future worth living was to be quiet and be still and comply, could you do it? And that is that's the question all you sisters need be asking anybody that you come into contact with calling themselves a potential partner. If the mother required you to shut your motherfucking mouth for a spell and just comply just to carry out demands, carry out commands, could you do it? Could you do it? Because even as they resist you as a representative of the mother, as a representative of she, even as they resist you, they ain't got no problem complying to commands when it comes from a man. They ain't got no problem doing humiliating shit in the army. They ain't got no problem complying to commands from white men who are their superiors in the military or the police force or the government or they regular everyday job. They comply all day, every day to some shit that do not serve them. Can you comply to the will of your mother? Baby, that's the question of the day. Okay? And she say here, listen, the reason it fucks them up is because we do not respond and we do not react. We do not backlash back at them. This is Mary telling y'all this. This Mary telling y'all this in 1983. She said, why y'all arguing with them? Child, our work is metamorphosis. That's what our work is. And we ain't evolving if we arguing. We ain't evolving if we going tit for tat. We debating. She said that in 1983, baby. She said they stay confused by those of us who do not respond, by those of us who do not react. We do not backlash back at them. What did I tell y'all my statement is all the time? You got it. Instead, we spontaneously act. Oh, don't they hate that? We spontaneously act. Such acting is unintelligible to incomplete snot boys, hacks, and snools. Feeling like fools, the flashers and lashers strut and swagger, draw their daggers, stabbing and jabbing, jerking and jabbering. The butterfly fixers prick each other. Amid this butchery and botchery, butterflies alone are undisturbed. Poised, we pulse our wings, waving goodbye. We are ready to fly. The time to enter the metamorphospheres is now. Chapter 10. Okay, I think, because I was on here at 1:30, so 2:30. I do not have another client. I think I'm going to go on for a little bit. Chapter 10, belonging, the lust for happiness. The two definitions preceding this chapter: supernatural, transcending nature in degree and in kind, or concerned with what transcends nature, a divine order which directs history from outside and keeps man in touch with the eternal world through the church and the sacraments. This is according to Webster's Third New International Dictionary of the English Language. Second definition: supernatural, unfolding nature in degree and in kind, or concerned with what unfolds nature, an elemental order which directs history from inside and keeps women and all biophilic creatures in touch with the real world through the senses. Webster's first new intergalactic Wikidictionary of the English Language. Come on in, Mary. The word I'm glad y'all are still hanging in. The word happiness has been banalized and travestied beyond belief and relief by the bosses of boredom. Repeated and regurgitated by the verbiage vendors, it is phallicism's formalized label for fulfillment. Images of happy fembots. Hold on. Oh. Listen, images of happy fembots file through the foreground of fatherdom's dumb shows and fantasies, erasing rage, setting the stage for numberless mummified copies. Xeroxed first ladies parade through commercials and soaps, mechanical toys applauding the boys, televised numbbots nod their agreement to all of his speeches and smile while he preaches his nuclear sermons. Like Daisy with Donald, like Nancy with Ronald, the doll women duck speak their memorized scripts. Everything's fine. Oh, so goes the line. There's happiness for all in store in 1984, end quote. Now, let me just tell y'all why I had a moment, okay? I keep telling y'all, these books that we thought like fell off into oblivion, and how did we not know them, and how are they not a part of our regular lexicon? These motherfuckers be out here reading these books. When she first started this paragraph, I stopped and I wrote a note. The note was the Stepford Housewives. She goes on, and it's like, oh my God, she is exactly talking about the Stepford Housewives, right? And then she says a line that is a direct quote from the Stepford Housewives. Now, the Stepford Housewives, I have to do my due diligence, but I know the old one with what's his name? Oh God. Shoot. It was an all-star cast. Nicole Kidman, Bette Midler, Christopher Walken. Is that his name? Christopher Walken. All these people in the Stepford Housewives, I know it was a remake, so I need to find out what year it was remade from. But this is straight from the Stepford Housewives. This is straight from it. And what is she talking about in the chapter that we just read? What does she say in the chapter that we just read, where she was talking about female in the part in particularization, which is an attempt to reduce the significance of female issues, particularly by diminishing female intellectualism. We just read that. What was the Stepford Housewives? These men turned their wives into all pleasing and all obedient robots, but they didn't go and get, quote, regular everyday women to do that. No, they went and got the most successful, the most famous, the most intelligent. They were chemical engineers and they were nuclear physicists and like brains. All the women were brains. Remember that? Remember that movie? They went and got the cream of the intellectual crops. And what did she say they did? Moronicized women. Moronicized women. What did they end up doing? Being happy housewives and everything's fine. There for the men to have sex with, to clean their house. Women who were brilliant, moronicized, because the men saw that powerful women always shines the light on them. Because if we're evolving and you're not evolving, this is the problem. This is the problem. The problem is that the problem is not that we know too much. The problem is not that we, quote, set the bar too high. The problem is not that we demand too much. That's not the problem. The problem is what it always has been. Patriarchy demands an end to evolution. And when a woman evolves, it, by virtue of what it does, commands the man to evolve. And him having to evolve is problematic in a world that teaches him he does not have to evolve. That tradition affords him the ability to stay over you, to dominate you, to refuse cultural transformation that accommodates you both as sovereign beings. That's what he's mad about. That for you to evolve, for you to become educated, for you to become whole human in a society that has denied you whole humanness means that he too will have to evolve. Damn. Whoever wrote Stepford Housewives read this book. Whoever wrote Stepford Housewives read this book. I told y'all that shit about the great cosmic mother rediscovering the religion of the earth. That book was written before The Matrix was written. Whoever the author was, because there's still debate about that. I say the sister read it. I say the sister wrote it. But whoever wrote The Matrix read the great cosmic mother. I'm telling you, the fucking chapter called The Machine in the great cosmic mother, written in 1984, before The Matrix was written. Whoever wrote The Matrix read the great cosmic mother. I'm telling y'all, these books, man, so much is hidden that we're witnessing in real time. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me not go off too hard. But anyway, everything's fine, blah, 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 blah. Happiness has wholly other meanings from all of this, however. The following discussion launches a agnostic ontological exploration of such other dimensions, philosophical and theological considerations of happiness. The word happiness, deeply understood, is radiant with ontological meaning. Uncovering its philosophical meaning is an important task for wanderers lusting for wisdom. Our exorcism and ecstasy can be aided by exploration of this philosophical background. Indeed, such investigation is a catalyst for metamorphic movement into our own background of meta-being. Moreover, agnostic examination of the medieval theological tradition concerning happiness, or what was known as man's last end, is vital for this exploit and exploration. Theologians have believed that grace is necessary for the attainment of happiness, and the reasons that led them to this conclusion shed light upon our metamorphic movement. Let's see. Carlotta says, supposedly a Black woman wrote The Matrix and her book was stolen by the one who made it. That's why I said whoever wrote it, because I said I believe the Black woman wrote it. But whoever wrote it read the great cosmic mother. You understand? Let's see. In Aristotelian philosophy, happiness is eudaimonia. As we have seen in chapter A, eudaimonia in Greek means having a good attendant or indwelling spirit. Eudaimonia means having a good attendant or indwelling spirit. As a philosophical term employed by Aristotle and his disciples, it means a life of activity governed by reason. In the highest sense, happiness is a life of activity of the mind or contemplation. Clearly then, within this tradition, happiness is not equitable with some passing emotion. Rather, the emotion of joy, popularly identified with happiness, is a consequence of a life of activity that constitutes happiness. The experience of joy is a psychic manifestation of happiness. Walk with me. Following the tradition of Aristotle, Aquinas taught that man's happiness, which he identified as man's last ends. Thank you, Asia. She says the Stepford Wives movie came out in 1975. Can you Google real quick and see who the author was and when the book was written? Let me put that in my notes. Okay. Following the tradition of Aristotle, Aquinas taught that man's happiness, which he identified as man's last end, consists in an operation of intellect. Consistent with his own logic, moreover, he concluded that the happiness of man must consist in the operation of his highest power, the intellect, in relation to its highest object. For Aquinas, the highest object of knowledge is the divine essence. He writes, quote, "For perfect happiness, the intellect needs to reach the very essence of the first cause, and thus it will have its perfection through union with God as with the object, in which alone man's happiness consists." Oh. This conclusion presented a problem to its author, for he believed that man could not attain such union through his natural powers. Quote, for every knowledge that is according to the mode of created substance falls short of the vision of the divine essence, which infinitely surpasses all created substance. Consequently, neither man nor any creature can attain final happiness by his own natural powers, end quote. Ridiculous. Ugh. Man then would seem doomed to eternal frustration. Yeah, motherfucker, right. Based on that definition, man then would seem doomed to eternal frustration. God, however, has the solution. By infusing grace into the soul, God elevates the capacities of man so that man can merit eternal happiness in the next life. Yet, one problem remains, namely, that the created intellect after death still lacks the capacity to see the divine essence, even after this reward has been merited with the aid of grace. Aquinas maintains that this is resolved by the infusion of a supernatural disposition, that is, a special supernatural light, which is aided to the intellect in order that it may be raised up to such a great and sublime height. Oh my God. Ugh. Although some hags and harpies may feel a bit hysterical after hearing all of these additives and erections, it is important not to succumb to the urge to, to roll on the floor or fly away before considering the fascinating insights which can be gleaned from such text. Thank you, Asia. The author is Ira Levin. And it came out in 1972. Yo, she said, listen, don't fall on the floor. I know this shit sound crazy. It sound like some bullshit, but let's glean from it what we can that can be of some use. Okay? She says, for as representative of mainstream traditional Christian belief, Aquinas was conveying overt and subliminal messages of importance. I shall note some of these. First, there is the notion that happiness is fully attainable only after death. Second, this presupposes that the spiritual faculties, intellect, and will of the happy dead ones were elevated supernaturally by grace when they were still alive, so that they could merit eternal happiness. Madness. Third, the happy creature, in order to have the beatific vision in heaven, must be in a permanently passive condition in relation to God. Madness. Who has all of the power in this relationship? Come on. Come on. Listen. Come on. Oh. The Aristotelian idea of happiness as a life of activity of the mind has been converted into an afterlife of passivity. Since the operation or activity is utterly supernatural, artificial, the happy state is one of essential impotence. Woo! The afterlife of perpetual union and copulation with the divine essence is an absolutely artificial operation. Come on. One could see this doctrine of happiness then as a confession and legitimation of male impotence. It is by no means a woman-originated doctrine. Women do not experience a need for a supernaturally stimulated eternal erection. God. As impotent beings, patriarchal males do. Now I want y'all to hear that. She is calling patriarchal males impotent. She is calling patriarchal males impotent. Okay? She says, as impotent beings, patriarchal males do not have this need, which they have erected religiously as the requirement for happiness. It will be noticed that the eternal copulation under scrutiny here is a male homoerotic relationship. The son seeks union with their male god, who is frozen forever as the dominant partner in this pathetically unequal union. Oh. One might ask what all this has to do with women. In one sense, it would seem the answer is not much. Women have never concocted such a bizarre scenario of eternal fulfillment, although many have succumbed to intolerable pressures to swallow such myths. Women do feel blocked, fixed by forces which they often cannot name, and which are experienced as impediments to the unfolding of our own native capacities. Since patriarchal propaganda is everywhere, even within women's minds, and since fallow institutions impose sanctions throughout fatherland, the lives of many women have indeed been made so miserable that they have been able to accept the borophilic belief that happiness is attainable only after death. They have even been bored and gored into believing that their powers need supernatural elevation, grace in this life in order to have any hope of happiness in the next. As the mind bindings come loose, however, women become increasingly aware that the impediments to our attainment of happiness are not innate deficiencies. Wild women do not share the phallocratic male's problem of impotence, and thus do not have the need to fantasize an internal connection with an omnipotent being. Metamorphosing women recognize that our happiness is indeed a life of activity. In a special way, happiness is activity of the mind or contemplation. It can include many activities: artistic creation, political action, development of spiritual powers, athletic activities. These are a few facets of our many-sided unfolding, our holistic realization of belonging. That is our happiness. Okay, let's see. Okay, meta patterning. I think this is the last section I'm going to read. I'm going to stop at 3:30. Meta patterning. As we have seen, the theology of eternal happiness implies the need for supernatural extensions of man's powers so that he can connect eternally with God. It is not hard to detect which organ in a phallocentric religion is subliminally the focus of this attention and extension. Nags will also note, on the basis of previous discussion, that theological language about supernatural raising up of the intellect to a great and sublime height so that it can connect with God has analogs in phallotechnology's erections. The explosions of nuclear weapons are also supernatural artificial emissions, attempts of impotent males to connect eternally with their omnipotent God, with their omnipotent killer God. Yes, yes, yes. Since the impotent patriarchal male's own organ falls short, to use the expression of Aquinas concerning man's intellect, of attaining the divine essence, he needs to build and use technological extensions of that organ. Given this context, male pronouncements concerning a new stage of spiritual evolution that requires the acquisition of new organs are suspect in the eyes of metamorphosing women. Thus, the statement of Master Rumi, of Balkh, and of the Sufis that are cited by Doris Lessing reflect this perspective of male obsession with impotence. Come on in. When women adapt this kind of language uncritically, it becomes easy to slide into other phallic assumptions. Feminists also sometimes have used this language. For example, Barbara Sturt's article, cited in the foreground to this realm, presents the concept of the new organ, which enables us to will our future evolution. There is nothing whatsoever that is phallic about Start's ideas. And indeed, it is a valid mode of speculation to ask whether women are developing such a faculty. However, it is important for nags to question where and under what circumstances we begin to employ certain words to convey ideas that are new to us and whether they can be misleading. Come on. Damn. The use of such a term as organ to designate the metamorphosing powers of metapatriarchal women could carry with it subliminal associations not intended by the speaker or writer. It could suggest, for example, that lusty women's belonging is somehow parallel or comparable to the patriarchal killer male's felt need to transcend their physical and ontological sense of impotence by acquiring supernatural or technological extensions. Wanderlusting voyagers do not need such extensions. Wild women realize our will to further evolution, our lust for participation in the unfolding of being, our happiness. Our primary problem now is the overcoming of unnatural obstacles, both external and embedded, to this ontological passion. There are elemental powers in each woman's psyche that are covered by the embedded codes of her captors. In her process of breaking the embedded code, she uncovers her own powers. One way of describing this process is calling it meta-patterning. The dreaming musing that engenders metamorphosis is a process of meta-patterning. This process presupposes seeing through the paternal patterns, the moldy molds intended to stunt our lives. It is thought-provoking for searchers to find that the word pattern is derived from the Middle Latin patronus, meaning patron of the benefice, patron saint, master, or pattern. Patronus, of course, is derived from pater, P-A-T-E-R, meaning father. Indeed, there is an odor of paternalism about the definition of the word pattern, which means a fully realized form, original or model, accepted or proposed for imitation. Oh, something regarded as a normative example to be copied, archetype, or exemplar. Oh my God. Damn. Metapatriarchal erratic movement is hardly according to patriarchal pattern. Metamorphosing women do not imitate or copy some fully realized paternal form or model. Rather, we are realizing, forming, and originating. When metamorphosing muses use the term meta patterning, we mean to name the process of breaking through paternal patterns. NAG identified meta patterning involves real transcending of patriarchal patterns of thinking, speaking, acting. It is weaving our way through and out of these patterns. Erratic women weave our lives, our works, not as imitations of models, nor as models for others, but as unique, diversified creations. Rather than seeking to develop new organs, an old pattern, then meta-patterning women recognize that we already have the powers to will our own further evolution. The idea of a new organ is too limiting to name the source of the meta-patterning powers, which myriad consciously mutating women are now discovering in multiform ways. That source is something like a telic focusing principle that is all pervasive within the organism, that is entirely present in all the parts of the organism. This telic focusing principle enables us to assimilate what we need from the environment to grow, adapt, and to change. It is a remembering principle as well as a meta-patterning principle. Our analysis of metamorphospheric movement requires that we give further attention to the workings of this principle. This is where I'm going to end. Woo! She had a word for us today, y'all. So tomorrow we'll pick back up on page 342 on the section entitled Focusing and Centering. I hope you were fed from this reading. I will encourage you to go back to the whole reading if you haven't been following, but most definitely part 30 from a few days ago, because it's jamming. It's jamming. Okay. So that's all I got to say about that. Now I have to, reconfigure my brain to adjust for other happenings and doings that I must be into. So with that being said, my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And I will see you again tomorrow sometime. Okay. I can't say definitely when, because I'm working tomorrow. I'm trying to get these coins. But just like today, I am assuming I'll probably have a pretty big break and I'll come back tomorrow. See you then.